I think we need to come to the realization that millennials is the greatest generation of all time. It's the greatest generation of all time. So we need to cut this out. We need to stop with the shenanigans. Your favorite movies, your favorite TV shows, your favorite time in history was from a world that was built by millennials. Fashion, accessories, childhood toys, listen, that was built by millennials. So when people say, oh, I wish things would go back to how it used to be, you're infatuated with an old world that was built by millennials. And we gotta stop pretending like this is not a fact. What movies do you know in today's history, or even in the boomer generation, that is better than any of these movies right here? All these movies made a significant impact. What movies before this time or after this time made a cultural impact? These were all built by millennials. Oh, millennials dress weird. They got a weird sense of style. Look at all what the kids are wearing nowadays. They're wearing millennial attire. The last good artist or good piece of music that you ever heard came from the early 2000s. That was the peak of music in artistry, was the early 2000s. This was an era that was defined by authenticity. You said whatever came to your mind. There was no sugarcoating. There was no cancel culture. There was no none of that. Everybody had a level of authenticity. Boomers hated millennials and so does Gen Z. And that's really the reality, because millennials are like this middle child. They're stuck in between. They're the ones who really molded and shaped the culture to what it is today. Favorite dance trends, everything came from millennials. Even when you look at social media, when you look at Facebook, when you look at TikTok, when you look at YouTube, when you look at all these social media platforms, who was it built by? Millennials. There's the rappers and everybody who be using autotune. Millennials were the first one who used autotune. When you think of T-Pain, Lil Wayne, they're the first ones who really used autotune, who brought autotune to the forefront. So half of your favorite artists nowadays are inspired by millennials. The cell phones and the electronics, everything that boomers and Gen Z had to adapt to was built by millennials. Millennials were the ones who came out with cell phones, who came out with all these electronics that we are now using to this day. Millennials is the only generation that could bridge the gap between the younger and older generations. They knew what it was like before technology and after. So they can relate to boomers and any generation beforehand, and they're the closest generation that can relate to Gen Z. Millennials are the only generation that I know that they just don't give a shit. Like, they really don't. They literally do whatever they want, however they want.